Live!
Welcome to another unauthorized and rum-fueled treasure hunt in the sharky waters around the Gatsby Islands with Queen Raae. I'm your host, Captain Uravea, and this is the Pirate Princess!
And the Pirate Princess actually has a special project for you today, Ulla, that will be showcased sometime during this show. Did you know?
Du må holde den opp så de ser. Nei.
You say, no, you didn't know. Lillian is wondering how you say banana in English. That is banana.
Mamma sier banana.
Banana. Are you going to open that for Dad? Skal du åpne for pappa?
1, 2, 3. Du tar opp. Skål! Okay.
Okay, now I'm jealous. I want one of those.
Have you had a birthday?
I only. Oh, please. Okay, I'm making you small now. I'm making you small. That's your punishment. Since I can't behead you.
What are we doing today? We're adding a test to a plugin. I'm guessing.
Yes.
It's the YouTube plugin. No,
we are actually going to add the test to the starter plugin so that everyone gets test set up for them if they use the plugin, if they use the starter plugin. Oh my God. Is there any, who raised you two?
Everybody knows no burping for pirates. It's illegal. No burping. You have to fart.
Okay.
Like this. No, just kidding.
No.
Okay. So what?
Please.
What?
Please.
What? Adding a test to the plugin. Why?
Why? So that when people use the Gatsby starter plugin, tests are already configured and it's going to be easier for them to get started with testing. And we want people to test because then we can run the test before a release so that we can make sure that we're not releasing packages that aren't working.
Do you have for the how, do you have an acronym like giggles or something?
You will have to come up with one after the show. We can put it in the newsletter. No promises. No, I don't have an acronym. I don't actually. What's up with my hair today?
I'll hang my Taskerbill task up here on its little hook.
Your Taskerbill task. That is super cute. So George is asking, what are we using for testing? So we're going to use Jest, which is the test runner or a testing framework, which is the one that is recommended by Gatsby.
Oh,
and Miriam. Yeah, and Miriam, who was on. We had a testing. No, that wasn't on YouTube. If you head on over to the queen.raae.code's website, there are links to the webinars, and I did a testing webinar with Miriam where we tested Gatsby functions, and we also used Jest and looked at how to test functions. But today we're going to look at how to test your plugin by specifically making tests for the schema, the Gatsby plugin options schema. We're going to test if our schema is going to be correct. So George is also saying he was hoping it was going to be Cyprus, and we're not going to do that today. There's going to be weeks and weeks until I do that, but I do kind of want to, I haven't done Cyprus in, I don't know, I think I did it once, way back, but I think it could be good to add something like that to the demo that is attached to the plugin, the starter plugin project. And then there's a demo, and we could do some kind of, actually spin up the demo and do some testing on the actual demo. So, but that would be way into the future. Oh,
I can read it.
Yes.
Okay. I don't know how your voice is, Neil, so I'll Okay, Lillian, hvordan stemme skal jeg bruke når jeg leser opp?
She's asking Lillian. He's asking Lillian.
Vanlig. She says
she said regular voice.
That means John's voice. No, just kidding. I'll do my voice. Okay, vanlig. What's the pirate sentiment regarding TypeScript? Just dipping my toe in the TypeScript waters, and it's not been friendly. Well, can I answer that?
Yes,
Can I answer that?
you can answer.
So, yeah. That's
Is that an answer?
no. That's the thing. That's the thing. I agree. I tried. I've been dipping my toe in the TypeScript too. It's not friendly, but that doesn't make. You know how it is sometimes when somebody is unfriendly to you, like TypeScript. Then the pirates, they try to be friendly back. You know what I'm saying? You
No.
If people are impolite, you are polite back to them.
So you're saying since TypeScript is impolite to you, you become a better person by being polite towards TypeScript?
Not a better person, a better pirate.
A better pirate. Okay. So
because you need to remember how it is. So you know how everybody thinks that pirates were killing people and everything. They were not killing people. They were just scaring them. But when you meet a person like TypeScript that is scarier than you, don't try to scare them back. You know what I'm saying? Then you have to take a friendlier approach. So I'm saying TypeScript is maybe a bit unfriendly, but he's a good guy.
So here's the Queen's opinion about TypeScript. I actually used TypeScript early on because I was doing a hybrid Ionic Angular project where we created both Android, iPhone apps, and the web version using Ionic that was using Angular 1, maybe. Anyway, TypeScript was enabled for that, so it was kind of like ready-made out of the box. And being of a traditional school and used to typed languages, I really enjoyed TypeScript. But when I got back into kind of React land, it wasn't set up automatically, and I didn't want to spend the time like setting it up. So I ended up not using TypeScript, and now I'm in the middle. So for my side project, POW, which Ula is going to be working on, and I'm going to be working on, and I hope other people might.
You're working
on the website, but like the app part, I think I'm going to add, same as with tests, I'm going to add TypeScript into the parts of the app that I really need, that is more like business logic, where I really need all of these things to be like super tight, and there's a lot of kind of data structures in place that it's hard to remember because we have the whole like hormonal cycle thing happening, and it's nice. It would be really nice to have that with TypeScript so that everything was kind of just typed and described. But I feel like for a lot of front end work, especially in the beginning when you're like playing around with how you want it to be, both TypeScript and like really detailed tests might make it a lot harder to kind of move fast and like test out and experiment with things. So I really like what TypeScript can give us, but I think it's best, or not, like it gives you most value in a more mature code base where there are several people working on the code base. But I've also heard, like Neil is saying, like you're saying, it's not, if you're just learning to code, just learning JavaScript is enough. So if like every project you try to work on has TypeScript implemented, it can be like an extra barrier for entry. So anyway.
What's with the several people thing? Because Miriam said the same.
Yeah, so I feel when I'm not the one, for instance, who have made all the code, TypeScript makes it really easy. So with TypeScript, for instance, you would describe an object and you would say this object is expected to have these different keys. So in your code, when you're coding, you could then do that object and you do your little dot. It will actually like show you what is legal values and what is possible. Neil is like, shut up, talk about something else. And so if you're not the person who has created all of these objects and all of the code, it's a really nice way of kind of understanding what is possible. And also, if it's your own code, but it's like a year since you coded on it, your data structures could probably, or my data structures could probably benefit from TypeScript.
I'm sorry for making this longer. So if you like...
Everyone who's watching this in the replay, check out the description because I've gotten really good at adding timestamps so you can skip this if it's not interesting to you.
I love this. I love this question. And what I do, Neil, and I'm not sure if this is typed, but to kind of get that thing instead of TypeScript, I go into graphical because it's not typed, but everything is kind of...
Graphical is a typed language. So everything in graphical is typed. So yeah, you're right.
And graphical is super useful for if you have a small code base and it's only you and all the opposite of TypeScript things. And also graphical is very polite.
Yes.
Unlike
it's a very it's because graphical is natively typed, like it's made to be typed, while JavaScript was not made to be typed, and then you add TypeScript on top and it kind of gets okay, let's get on to that testing. Testing. Yep. So we are I need to move everyone over to the side here. That's why I'm looking off into the distance. And then I need to share my screen. And I would like, inside the streaming software we're using, I'm now running it in Firefox so that I can go between Firefox and Chrome. But I'm seeing our videos being kind of black. They go black and then they get reloaded. So everyone watching, can you let me know if you are getting these like blackouts or if that's just us getting the blackouts? That would be nice.
I get no blackouts here.
No, I keep on seeing that we're like losing connection, but anyway.
Okay.
So here we are in our Gatsby plugin starter. And then if you guys are gonna talk, can you please mute yourself?
I promise.
Not. What we're doing? Not. So the first step when adding tests, everyone, and I keep sharing this with you because I think it's important to see how I actually go about these things and don't pretend that I just know all of this out of the box. So I usually just go to Gatsby testing, and they have a unit testing document. Oh, this is not good, Gatsby. I got a 503 error. Okay, we are back. We're back in business. It's probably our internet, so let's not blame Gatsby. So, because there is some things that needs to be set up that you can't, like you could probably Google and figure it out and understand all of this. I don't, so I just follow their instructions. So installing dependencies. So the dependency we kind of want is the Jest dependency, which is our test runner or test framework. Let's have a look at Jest as well. You get to see my full search history there. Maybe I should do something about that. Anyway, so they say themselves that Jest is a delightful JavaScript testing framework with a focus on simplicity. Anyway. So, but because we are in a Gatsby world and in a React world, there are some extra things that we need to install. So I just copy this part and then we head on over to our code and we install all of it. But for the astute watcher who was here last week and the week before, we are using Yarn Workspace to create this plugin. Oh, and now Lillian is here.
Hello.
Yeah. So we want to add this with Yarn instead of NPM, but we still want these to be development dependencies. So we need to add a big D instead of the save dev, and then it's Yarn add. And then I like to, for these Yarn workspaces, where we're creating plugins that we're using to create our plugins, I also like to put all of the testing stuff in the root workspace, not in the plugin workspace, not in the demo workspace. I want it in the root workspace so that I can just use the same setup for both the plugin and the demo. And to allow that to happen, we're going to do a -w that says to Yarn that, you know what, we are actually certain that we want to add this to the root workspace. Otherwise, it's going to like error out on us. And then we hit enter and we're going to add all of this. So while those are, while all of this is being installed, then we're going to do all of the other parts. And I see now that Inessa is saying that he is experiencing delay in loading of screen share content. So please let me know if that is happening to you too. Because if so,
he's not saying that. He's asking.
He's saying
if anyone.
Yeah, well, he's saying if anyone else, if it's only him.
No,
so is anyone else experiencing delay?
No, he's not saying that he is. You're assuming
well,
that.
I am assuming that he is experiencing problems since he's writing anyone else experiencing delay in loading of screen share content. So please let us know. And if you are, I'm going to change on over to Chrome for the streaming.
But we have a question from John. Can you click it?
Yeah.
At Queen Raae.
Inessa is experiencing it. I did read that correctly, Ola. Just so you know.
Queen is always right. Yep. So in John's voice, yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna change on over to Chrome, so I'll be gone for a second.
Queen Raae is right about the exposing of data when using TimeScript. A beginner tip is to disable TimeScript checking in your linters until you need it per file. Ooh, that sounds like a neat trick. Yeah.
Pappa?
Ja.
Kan du akne telefonen?
Ja, jeg kan det. Ja, the linters, yeah. The linters.
I am back.
That's great. It wasn't really a question.
Okay, hopefully everyone thought it was their network. Okay, now I'm over on Chrome again. Let's see if this works out. So the next step in our setup, if we follow the Gatsby tutorial here, is that we need to create a file that is called dest config. So I'm going to copy that, and we're going to add that to the root. Got a little. Oh my God! Now everything is slow. Computer, work with me.
I have a secret trick with my computer.
Now my Chrome went down.
I put this fan here on my laptop like that. I hope this doesn't make too much noise for you people. That's what I call an external fan.
Yeah,
cool it down.
Hopefully there's always something. Like last time I had managed to make a bug, and like this time I'm gonna mute you because yes, he's muting himself. And this time it's the computer. Okay, so we create this config file that just lets Jest know about a lot of stuff that I'm not gonna go into. We are gonna use the Jest preprocessor. I'm just showing you the whole process here, even though it's a little slow. And then, well, you don't need to make this. This is not a file you need to make. It's just explaining everything you need to do. But we need this loader shim.
Yes.
So that, I don't know. Okay. And that's when it starts saying that, okay, now you can start using the project. But we need, so let's copy. Oh, we need to make a branch. Check out, check out, and let's say it's a feature branch, add tests. So configured. Oh my God, this is going to be a fun stream, everyone. So now we've done everything that was needed. And then I like to create a test command in here that says just, and then it's watch, I think, that will watch all the files in our project and run test every time there is a change to any of the files in the project, which makes it pretty neat. Yes, and it's just -- watch. And then in addition, before we create a release, it's nice to just run all of the tests. So this is not an interactive running. It will run through all the tests, and if anything fails, it's going to stop before it creates a release. So I like to add those two. So we've added some added commands. And then over to the fun part that we're doing today, which is
Yes!
Woo! We are gonna we're gonna test our plugin schema. So let's go back and have a look at what is a plugin schema. So when you create a plugin, it's good form in your Gatsby node file to define a plugin option schema. So for this plugin, we take in a message, and we can also take in an emoji key. And we are saying that the emoji key has to be string, and it has to be one of these valid keys. And the default is the first. So our valid keys are the keys coming from this emojis file. And then we have a description. The same thing here. The message has to be a string, and we also give both of them a default. So for this schema, we want to test to see if we're allowed to use an empty options, because we have defaults for all of our different values. And then we want to check that the message, it actually validates strings correctly, and for instance numbers incorrectly. And to do so, we'll create a Gatsby node test file. So I like to keep my test next to the file that I am testing. So as you see here, Gatsby node, and then it's Gatsby node.test.js. And that is different from what they are kind of showing here in the Gatsby tutorial, because they create their own kind of test folders instead of using the .test.js, what's it called? Way of doing things, I guess. So we'll have a test file, and the first thing we need to do is to create a, when we create a test, we can have describe block, and then we can have test blocks. So describe blocks kind of bundles together tests that kind of, are similar or kind of for the same file or for the same function. So I like to do a describe. I can write today, describe block, and I'll call it the same thing as the function that I want to test. So, and it's not describe, everyone. And then inside of the describe block here, we can make a test block, and I would like to test that. And we can do another describe block, because I want this to work for all of our message. So message option. And inside of message option, we would like to test that strings are valid. And then
you got a typo.
Oh, where?
Valid.
Oh, valid. Valid. And that numbers are invalid. Oh, I can't. Invalid.
That's good.
That's kind of my skeleton here. And how do we test the plugin option schema? So often when we're testing function, we create, we import our, or are we in node land? So I need to require them. Let me just open up a cheat sheet here so I don't tell you how to do this wrong. So my cheat sheet for this is the Let It Snow plugin that some of you are familiar with. Yes. So we import the plugin option schema from Gatsby node because that's what we want to test. But it's not just, and then you send in these we expect something to be something. But the plugin option schema as it is made here doesn't really, it's got its like a weird signatures. It's hard for us to like add in. We can't like send in the options into this function because all it takes is the joy element. Like it's kind of like Gatsby owns it. So Gatsby has made a function for us in something called the Gatsby Plugin utils to let us actually test these the plugin option schema. So we'll have to install, and we'll add it to the work fruit, and we'll add it as a dev dependency, the Gatsby plugin utils. And what that exposes is another function that is called test plugin option schema. So let's create a valid options object that we can use to test. So message. This is valid. This is a valid message. I need a new keyboard, everyone. And then in invalid, we'll do an invalid options object. So let's do 1, 2, 3 is obviously not a string. And then to test it, we can use the test plugin option schema. So, and it returns valid, is valid, and it also returns errors if there are any errors.
Typo alert. Message.
Huh?
You have written massage on message.
Okay. So the test plugin option schema actually takes in the plugin option schema function, and then it takes in the options you want to test. And then we'll do message. And we'll do the same thing, but here we are not. So here we expect this is valid to be false. And in this one, we expect it to be true. So we use just. So this is kind of normal behavior for these like test frameworks. This is where we're using. So the test framework here is like the describe block. The test block is owned by Jest. Then the test plugin option schema is is a function that Gatsby has created for us to make it easier to test. And then expect, we are back in Jest land. So we say expect, we want to expect that is valid. We expect is valid to be, and we expect it to be true, I mean, because this is, this is a valid options. And then numbers are invalid. We expect the opposite. We expect it to be false. If we have done everything correctly now, this code should run. So let's do yarn tests and start watching our files and see if we are in business. And we're not in business, which is not. Failed to parse a file. So did we not do all of our different things? Let's see. I probably did too much at once now. Oh, so we need async at least.
Yes.
Async. Oh, look at that. That was our error, everyone.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
We have tests. Yay.
Passed.
And passed. Tests are passed. So everyone, questions, hit them in the chat because I feel like I kind of just like did everything at once here.
Yeah,
So
you
this
did.
is not test-driven development. This is adding tests after the fact. Because in test-driven development, we would usually make something error out first and then fix it. So let's say we wanted to add a option here. So we wanted to add an option called, what's an option we could have here just for fun? We have message, we have emoji. So let's see, we wanted to do something with color. No, that's a bad one. Well, let's do it from the beginning. So let's remove message. Oh, look at that. So strings are valid, and it's valid now because it doesn't, Gatsby doesn't error out when if there's an option. If we give in an option that is not expected, it doesn't error. I think there's been some changes in the last versions, so we'll have to look that up. But numbers are invalid, which is not correct. So let's say we now add back message, and we say, let's say we want to say that it's we say then joy string, and we can say that it's required. Let's see what we get. And we're saying it's required. Oh, it's not, it's required. And we are back and it's valid. So that is that's the way we would have done it. It was test driven. We would first have written our tests, and then we would have written the code to pass our tests.
Yeah. A question. Put it on the screen. I want to read it. This is an amazingly good question. And
yes.
And so Neil says, I'm sure you covered it in the beginning. No. But the noob here doesn't understand what testing is actually doing. Testing. Yeah. So, yeah.
So for our plugin here, let's run our plugin or run our project.
Yeah, but we talked about why. What did you say on why? You just said, yeah, I remember now. You said why, so that you will have testing in your plugin. That's what you said. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is the why of the task for today, but still, what's the point?
So what we want to do is we want to test that are, so we are expecting, or we're not expecting, but we are defining here for our plugin, we are defining how options should look. So we're saying that the options when you, let's see where our options are. Sorry. So here, so in our demo, we're using this plugin. So we're using the Gatsby plugin starter that we're working on, and we have options, and we're saying emoji pirate, and we're not giving in any message. But we are allowed to add a message. So hi from the options. And we want to describe how this object can look. So kind of like types, but we're doing it with tests. So we want to have tests, or we are giving a schema that we're saying, okay, the options need to have a message and it needs to have emoji. So here in our node Gatsby node file inside of our plugins folder, inside of our plugin, we have the option from Gatsby to give a schema for our options. And we're describing how the options object should look like. So we are saying that it should have a message and it should be of type string. And if none is given, we give it a default. So if we don't write a message here, the default will be hi from the plugin. Then we are saying
you can't have the same in both. That's
I had
confusing.
hi from the options and then hi from the plugin.
Ah.
Yeah. And then we have an emoji key, emoji on options, and it has to be one of the valid keys that are here in constant. So it has to be the crown, the pirate, or the princess. So if we do something wrong while we are configuring our project, and the good thing about doing this is that if I, the developer that's using the plugin, come along and I write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 here, that could then end up messing up my plugin because I'm giving in data that like it doesn't know how to deal with. And you might have experienced this when you're using plugins and there's some option that you forgot to set, or you set it wrongly. Everything just like fails and you don't know why it failed. But if we try to run our project now, ooh, if I can even spell develop, it should error out and let us know that message must be a string. So this is invalid, and it just like quits the whole project. It's like, I'm not going to go any further because these options are not valid, and I know there's going to be bad things happening down the road, so I'm just quitting this already. And that's fine. So that is from the person using the plugin will get this message. But how do we know that we have defined our options correctly, the schema correctly for our options? We could write a test that checks to see if it works as expected. So we have written a test here that says we expect that if we give in a string, the options is going to be invalid. And if we give it in a number, it's not going to be valid. So this kind of tests the same thing I did tested manually. So now I did like so this would be a manual test. I put in a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I expected the plugin to error out and nothing more would happen. But instead of kind of having to test manually for all of these, different errors somebody could do when defining the options, I want to write a test that kind of does that test, but it does it for me and will make sure that, for instance, if somebody comes in and works on this project and they for some reason removes some of this and don't remove the test because they weren't supposed to remove it, then the test will actually see that something is wrong with our plugin and please do not release this plugin, which we're trying. That was a long-winded explanation. I hope that helps. So we can write more tests. Do you want to write more tests?
Yes.
So testing is usually that we want to test our functions. We want to test our functionality. This is unit testing. We want to test our functionality, and we want to have somebody test it for us. And that would be Jest in this case. And we have to tell it different. And you can never cover all your bases with tests, but you should always try a happy path, which is strings are valid. We know that strings should be valid, but also an unhappy path, which is, that numbers are invalid, because then you test both for a good thing, and then also that we are expecting something to not work, which we are doing in this case. In the second case, we're getting a clap, so hopefully that helped. And to test the plugins, the option schema, we need to use this extra utility function that Gatsby has created for us that's called test plugin option schema. But we could create, there are other tests we could create. So in our Gatsby browser, I guess I haven't shown you what this project actually does, which is, bad form from me as a teacher. So let's have a look at how this, what this plugin actually does. So the plugin lets you decide on an emoji, but also on a message if you want to. And then because this is just an example for you to begin with if you're creating your own plugin. And then in the browser, what it does is that it sends an alert call, or it calls alert with the selected emoji and the message from the plugin options. And, those annoying alerts that kind of pop up and take over the screen for you in the browser, if we can get there. So another test we could do here is that we could test to see if our Gatsby browser actually calls the alert with the correct string. So I'm gonna start on that maybe while this is building. No, that will be confusing. Somebody else has a question or good. Oh, there it is. So here you can see it says, hi from the plugin. And then you have to do OK to get out of it. So that is what this plugin does. So another test we could do is that we can test that on initial client render when it is called Gatsby browser test.js. We can do, and I often just like copy these because I'm so lazy. Copy so little just because I know I always write things wrong. So we want to test on initial client render. And what we want to test here is that we want to test, for instance, we would like to test that alert is called with correct string. So we'll have to import our on initial client render. From the Gatsby browser. And then we want to test that when we run initial client render, and we can see that it takes in kind of nothing, which is a little confusing, and then the plugin options. So if it takes in nothing, and then our plugin options, which is a message. So test message. And here we have to make sure that we're giving in a correct options object, because we are now this is unit testing. We're just testing just this function, and it is not responsible for checking if the options object is correct. It's only, it takes in a correct options object. We're kind of past that. So we have to make sure that we are doing this correctly. Emoji, pirate. And then, well, let's be good software developers and we can do, oh no, we have to test it in there, sorry. And then this is going to be, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this actually on call, because what we need to test is that it calls alert. So
I got a gift from the pirate princess. People, guess what it is? Guess, not you, Queen. Testing.
Everyone can test that. So if we have a look at what our initial client render does, is that its job is to call alert, but it doesn't return anything. Often when we test things, we test a function, and when we test it, and then we test what is returned. But here we have to test if it's actually calling alert. So and then we're into like mocking land, which I don't remember exactly how we do. So something like that. Mockingjay. We just watched the Hunger Games. Yes. The Mockingjay. So we'll have to go.
Oh, John guessed right. Good work, John.
We need to mock a function.
But maybe it was too easy. I don't know.
Oh, now I can't even think. Okay. So let's see. We want to mock or we want to mock browser alert in jest. Let's see if somebody answered this person correctly. In just configuration with JSDOM, global window equals global, so it can be mocked on window. Oh, but I don't know if we want to do it that way. Let's see. Like this. Yes. So we can mock. So what we're saying here is that the global alert is now our function. It's not the regular function. So we're just going to say it's a function. And then we want to check that it has been called. And we can then do that with some mock function, mock calls length to be. So first we run our actual code. We run uninitial client render, and then we check to see if the global if it works.
I'm lost. What's mocking a function?
If this works, I'm going to come back and explain it because it might not work. We want to do global alert. And then I guess that it's been called mock calls length to be 1. We want to see that it's actually been called once. Let's see if this even works. Invalid argument 1. It must be a string. So this is not correct. So, okay, we might want to have the global inside of our description. So let's see. No. Okay, now I'm like, this is what happens. Like, don't YOLO, don't go off the script, but I wanted to. Let's see. Browser functions. Let's see if testing with just awesome tricks and tricks. Let's have a look. Define value alert jest function. Yes, that's what you're doing. Oh, and then we need to spy on it. Spy on global alert. No, I might not figure this out. Oh, but I think I do because I did do this in our Gatsby plugin Snow. Everyone gets to come along while we figure this out. Gatsby browser tests. I had to mock something, the lib snowfall. But then let's have a look at the lib snowfall, because there I used some things. Get CSS variable, confetti, mock utils. Now, here we do, yeah, because I did global request animation frame, and we said that it's a jest function, and how do we check that it's been called? Oh, we do to be called times. Okay. This might not make sense to anyone right now, but hopefully it will soon. So why do we need to mock? Well, when we are running our test, we are not in a browser. So
he didn't ask why you need to mock.
Yeah, he says, what's mocking a function? So I'm getting there.
Yes.
So alert is not available for us when we are testing because that is a function that is available in the browser. So when we mock, we say that, okay, it's not available for us, but we'll make it. So we'll make this function and it's just going to like do nothing, but we're going to make it so that we can check if it's been called. So what just does under the hood when on initial client render then calls alert, it will actually call the alert that we have kind of created a fake function for, which is a mock. That is a mocked function. You take something that doesn't exist or something that you don't want to run, and you make a fake function for it just to check if the function's been called.
To kind of make fun of the alert.
To make fun of the alert, yes. We're going to mock the alert.
You're mocking the alert?
Yes. We are kind of mocking it because we're saying like you're not allowed to be used. We're going to use our own implementation. We're not going to use the actual implementation.
I'm pretending to be you now, alert.
Yes. Let's see if this then works.
Because mocking is not making fun of. Mocking is kind of pretending to be. So you make a function that pretends to be the alert. Is that what you're doing?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
And the alert, and we can also say that it can take something. So it takes a text, and then it does nothing. I think we can say that it's a function and it takes nothing. Let's see if it works now. So we've gotten further. Invalid first argument, function, return, function applied. This argument, it must be a string to be called times 1. So what did we do here with, we called it just function. And we don't do much, but we ask it to be called. Why is it not called? So what I'm trying to do now is that I'm trying to test that it is that the uninitial kind render actually calls alert and that it calls it with the correct string. So first we want to check that it's only called once. And then we would like to test that it's called with some sort of, to be called with something. So let's see, to be called with describe, expect, to be called with, to be called with, and we want it to be the string. So here we have a mock function and we run over it and we expect the mock to be called with, and we want to expect it to be called with the emoji, which is a pirate emoji.
Yeah.
Test message, and then another pirate emoji. So let's see if that works. Oh my God. Invalid first argument function. Must be a string. Oh, so it's this that is it our null function here that's needs to be a string? I think maybe this will be the time where we're not figuring out things on stream.
The Pirate Princess is doing a super secret project here behind my mirror.
Hva var det du sa?
Jeg sa at du gjorde et hemmelig, superhemmelig prosjekt.
Det kjøper jeg.
No, so that is not it. Let's say oh, now I think I know, because I think the options, the plugin options, no, it is supposed to be a message and emoji. But let's test nothing here. So now we're like working with the testing. So alert, test.
What do you mean we're working with the testing?
Now I'm doing stuff to see if I can get the test to work before I do the actual functionality I need.
But that sounds like kind of the reason why people don't do tests, because they just end up doing a lot of extra stuff in the test. And
absolutely.
So that's
what happens to people.
So that's very good then. Okay.
And
tell me when. Yes, I can read it.
Okay.
So these are functions that allow us to track how a particular function is called by external code.
Mm-hmm.
Question
that
mark?
Is exactly correct.
Yes.
Very well put.
So tell me when you're ready for a pirate story. I have a short one.
I am ready for a pirate story because I need to figure out what to do here.
Da skal jeg fortelle en historie.
Okay.
So this Saturday and Sunday we had birthday parties, bursdagsfester here. We had one here in the neighborhood outside our window with all Lillian's friends from school plus some other friends. But we also had a family thing on Sunday where 3 kids had a birthday at the same time. It was the Pirate Princess, King Harold, Agent, as he likes to be called, and Sievert. which was 1. He turned 1. And we gave them lots of gifts. Everybody got lots of gifts. And King Harold was not happy with his train, track, and locomotive gifts. You could tell. But later, where's the camera? Here. I was taking photos and he looked inside my camera bag and he saw something glimmer at the bottom. He was like, "What's that? What's that?" And I was like, "That's nothing," I told him. And he was like, "Yeah, I can see there's something there." And I had one of these. A pirate challenge coin. I don't know if you are familiar, but it was lying in the bottom of my little camera bag. And then I said, "Okay, here." And I put it into his little shirt pocket like that. And I could tell he loved it. That was the best gift. He got the little, you see, it's the same one I have on my skull on my hat here. So I'm going to ask him next time I meet him in the woods. We're going skiing in the woods. I'm going to bring my challenge coin. I'm going to tell him, "Where's your challenge coin, little pirates?" I will see what he says. I'll check back next Thursday.
Cool. But I'm not understanding why it says invalid first and in the initial alert is called with the correct string. Invalid first argument function, return function applied. This argument, it must be a string. What must be a string? This annoys me. Okay, so let's not do an uninitial client. Let's just do global alert. And see if we're allowed to test. So it's test global alert. So it's saying that the test has to be called. Oh boy! It's expect, not test. Oh, again, we're going to be able to do an amazing "The Queen is Embarrassed" a clip from this stream.
But why did it say that it was supposed to be a string when it?
Because tests. Tests are used to describe the test block, and then you expect stuff. You don't test stuff, you expect stuff.
Inside the test.
Yeah, so let's go back to our our code and then do expect. Because when I do on initial client render, I expect the global alert to be called one time and then expect it to be called with the correct message. And then we'll have to go back and actually, do our code. Everyone, I hope that was a very good teachable moment for everyone. And look at that, it's passed. But now, let's see, I test it again. We're going to see something happening. So let's do princess here. I think we might run into an error because, it's been called 2 times because we are creating the mock up here at the beginning of the file, and then we're running on initial client render twice, which means that it will call the global alert twice. But we want our tests to be not dependent on each other. So a thing we can do then, as we've done in the in our snow plugin, is that you can say that before or after every test we clear all the mocks so that they kind of start from scratch again. If we do clear all mocks, this should work again because we are seeing that it's clearing all of the mocking stuff. So we're starting from scratch again. And it's now not failing on the wrong number of times of calls, but it's failing because it's not receiving princess emoji. It's retrieving the pirate emoji, which is correct. We just haven't fixed our test. So let's do a princess emoji instead. And then a princess emoji. Ooh. And I think we should be back to green. Oh, we should be back to I appreciate you want to read that in John's voice, Ola?
Okay, yeah. Big eyes emoji. This is becoming a fun pattern. LOL. This is how we learn and retain.
Yeah, so it's definitely it was all planned. It was all planned.
This is how we roll, people. Yeah. This is how we roll. Well,
okay,
yeah.
if we give it an empty options array, or if you give them an empty option, it's going to be undefined, 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 and that could be a good way of, or not, but like kind of documenting that we are not doing any validation in this function. We are expecting everything to be in proper order. So I sometimes like to put these types of tests on top. So if somebody ever goes into this kind of testing file, they're like, well, this is weird, but it's expected. So obviously I need to be pretty vigilant with what I send in here. Like this function doesn't do any checks to see if we are giving it something wrong. We could decide that we wanted it to be different. We would like it maybe to not call the alert, or maybe even throw an error if something was wrong. So let's write a test for that. So instead of saying that it accepts undefined, it like throw error on invalid options. And then we don't want, it's not going to be calling alert, but it's going to throw an error. So let's see, we do expect it to error out, and there are some ways to test that to be.
I have a
like
message.
Throw. Yeah.
I have a message from the pirate princess.
Yes.
She's also making mistakes here. Look, she's trying to write till with me, which means two. That's right. But then under she's going to trying to write papa, which is dad or papa, but she's writing PAR, parpa. So she's also making mistakes, but then she just gets more of these little cards.
Yes, and then she can try again.
She's trying and trying and trying. That's how we do it. That's how we build skills. Keep trying and doing.
So now we're saying that we are expecting on initial client render to throw, like to throw an error option on invalid options to throw, and then our code should now fail because it doesn't throw. So this is test-driven development, folks. We first created a test that is failing, and now we're going to fix the test so that we get the functionality we expect. So we could do if message or emoji, like if no message or no emoji, let's throw an error. Missing either message or emoji. Emoji. And the code runs again, and something is wrong. What is wrong? Well, it's expected to throw. Isn't it just throw error? Missing either message or test throw error on invalid option. So it is, but aren't we expecting it to throw? Let's have a look at to throw. Test throws an octopus. Drink flavor octopus. To throw. Test that the function throws when it's called, for example. Yes. And we wanted to, we need to throw new error. There we go. We need to throw new error. Let's see. No. So if it's not, let's throw new error and a message. And we can do to throw error. To throw. So let's do to throw error, and we should get the same error that we are getting here. So as you can see, folks, I do not practice what I preach because I don't write that many tests. So this is to get me to be better at writing tests by showing it off to everyone. No, so
And
that is
why
not
don't
error.
you write tests then?
Because I'm not that used to them. So as you're seeing, like it takes a lot of time when you're not when you're not that into writing tests. It does take some extra time, but when you learn them, they are gonna, I am 100% sure they're gonna help you write better and faster code. And it's gonna,
Do you?
and tests are beautiful when you come back and you need to refactor. You can refactor the code, but you can, as long as you make sure all the tests are still passing.
Do you have tests in the POW app?
Yeah, so in the POW app, I have tests for everything that is kind of the business logic. So the analytics part of the POW project, where it analyzes your journal entries and gives you back information about how your menstrual cycle is going to be in the future. That like all of the code that runs this kind of like analytics engine that I have brute forced is very well tested, but all of the front end I have not tested because
Good.
it's been very much in movement. But now I'm going to start doing some refactoring of the code without any changes to the UI. I might write some tests now to familiarize myself again with the code before doing the refactor, so that I'm sure that the refactoring doesn't mess up the front end.
Follow-up question. So when did you write those tests then?
For POW?
Yeah.
I think the analytics engine is like a year or two or so ago.
Yeah.
But why
That's
isn't this? I think this is interesting because it's expecting. I'm definitely throwing. Have I written something wrong? Are there some good eyes out there in the chat that can tell me if I have written this wrong? Throw, new error, isn't it new error? Like, what's up with this? I'm pretty sure it's throw. So let's look. If we take that away again, it's gonna expect. It's gonna expect that it throws. It's gonna give us an error because received value must be a function expected to throw. Match error. Received value must be a function. It's received has value, so it's received undefined because it's received something. But we should do drink octopus. So drink octopus to throw. Oh, but it doesn't take in any. So how do we test a function with? We need to make an anonymous function, I think. So yes. We can't give it the. So this is something that's like weird with tests sometimes. So we're not allowed to actually like give it the function. I'm not going to try to explain this. In the same way as we do here, we're going to move it up a line, and then we're going to create a function that is called like testing client render. And all that's going to do is actually call our on-client render with the correct params. And then I think it's the result of this function.
You needed the function inside there for you to be happy.
Yes, and now it's passing. So okay, now I'm tired. It's like we're over the hour now. My like explanations are going to be really bad. Oh, Ula got a gift. I'm gonna explain this, and then Ula, you can open the gift. So our expect function needs to check if it's going to throw we need it to be inside of another function. So I think we could use also this as an anonymous function without having to kind of make an extra function in between, and it should still work. Yeah. So here it's saying drink octopus is drink flavor, and then it's calling it's doing the expect on. Oh, I'm sorry, this is very small. Everyone has to be mindful of letting me know when I need to make these things bigger for your eyes. Here. If I'd read the documentation properly, we would have seen this. But who's time to read documentation? Okay. So it needs, we need we need to have a function where our params being sent in, have been set. So for us, we can do it again. We can do, instead of, we can do testing. Okay. On client render with empty options. Or call on initial render with empty options. And that should then throw. And we are good. So there are some little intricacies when testing where you have to get it, like you need to get it right so that it's able to test for you. But yeah. Okay, Ulla, I'm gonna make you big, and then
first you must say.
Oh,
you must
I'm gonna make you.
You must sum it up. What did you do? Why did you do it? And
no, I think you open the present, and then we can do summary, because I need to collect myself for a second.
All right. Okay, Lillian, er du klar?
Still bak.
Nå skal vi åpne presangen.
Det ikke en del av presangen.
Er du klar?
Ja, det
Kom da på stolen. Gi meg den.
Jeg gir leke med.
All right. I'm very excited about this present here. Look at this. Look at this here. And here it says to pappa. Til pappa fra Lillian. Lillian, that's the pirate princess. I am Papa, and here, look at this drawing here. Look at this, John. Look at this. It's Captain Skull. Captain Skull.
Isn't it Captain Ola?
No, that's Captain Skull. That's Captain Skull. All right. All right. I'll do the paper first. I mean the string. I'll do the string first. I'm not untying it. I just slide it off. Kind of cheating, but here, these are electrical tapes from my dad and his little two-masted sailing ship. Oh, it's a golden skull.
It's a golden skull. Oh my god, that is amazing.
Gold. I love gold. Tusen takk. Se nå. I am a golden skull with a big hat. Jeg har en stor hatt. Hello. Captain Skull. Supert. Jeg putter den her inn i labyrinten som jeg fikk av deg. Her. Okay. Are you ready for the summary?
I'll try. Oh, what happened? Ulla, where did you go? Oh, I guess I'll do the summary without him. Okay, everyone, thank you for sticking with me. And as I written in the chat, that I will summarize this in tomorrow's email. I send an email we send an email every weekday. And if you head on over to queen.raae.codes, you can subscribe to the email. And tomorrow I will also do a summary of this in written form if you want a little bit of a recap. So hold up your little note, Ola, so I can do the, what is it first? It's the what. What? We added tests to the Gatsby plugin starter so that when you use the Gatsby plugin starter to create your plugin, you'll have tests configured out of the box. You don't have to do the first half of this stream. You can just go straight to creating your tests. And then the why is because we would like to have tests for the important functionality in our plugin. So in the Gatsby plugin starter now, we added tests to make sure that our plugin schema is how we expect it to be. We write our schema, plugin option schema. We said that the message should be a string and there's a default message. The emoji should be one of the valid keys. And there should be a default. But how do we know if we have described our plugin option schema correctly? Well, we can do that by testing. So we are testing for the message, we're testing that strings are valid. We're testing that numbers are invalid. We have not written tests for the emoji thing yet. And then we went over and created some tests for the main functionality of this plugin. So this is a plugin meant for you to start your own plugin, but I've created a fun little alert that will alert you with the message and the right emoji. And we want to test if it actually creates an alert. And to do that, we need to make a mock implementation of the alert because alert is not available for us while we're doing tests, which are running on, inside of Node and not on our browser. So we create an alert and then we test to see if it is called with the correct string. So we send in options test message and then emoji pirate, and then we test that the global alert is called only once, so it's not like repeatedly called on a loop or something like that. And then we also expect it to be called with the pirate flag test message pirate flag if we send in the pirate as the emoji key and test message as our test message. We also just tested again with a different configuration just to make sure that this wasn't like we could have hard coded this in our function. We want to test like what happens if we change the inputs. Are we still getting the results we expect? And then we also wrote an expect and test that expects the function on the initial client render to just error out if we give it invalid options. And to get this running, so now we have it on, we do yarn test, and it will keep on running the tests every time we do a change. Or we can run all by pressing all here. It runs all the tests, and that is because we added jest -- watch as our test script. And then I also added jest to the semantic release command here or script so that before semantic release creates and a release for us, we looked at that in the last stream, it will actually run the test first. And if the run tests are not passed, do not get passed, it will stop the whole process and our package will not be released. And what's the last one? Did I do all of them now, Ola? The why and the how? Yes, that was the how. But to set up all of this, which you get for free if you use my Gatsby plugin starter, we followed the unit testing guide from Gatsby, the setting up the environment, and then we did not do exactly what they wanted to with writing tests. Because I like to have my test next to the thing I'm testing. So to test the Gatsby browser, I create a Gatsby browser.test file instead of having a folder with tests, because then you just forget about them and they're just kind of like out of sight. But if you have the test files next to your actual files, it's very easy to see that, oh, I have tests there. I'm writing new functionality. I should update my tests. That's it.
Pappa, kan jag fortsätta efterpå?
Du må vi holde den opp så de ser. 1, 2, 3! This has been another unauthorized and rum-fueled treasure hunt in the sharky waters round the Gatsby Islands with Queen Raae. I'm your host, Captain Olavia. Remember to smash that like button, friends. And this is the Pirate Princess Lillian. See you next Thursday.
And remember to like and subscribe and invite a friend next Thursday.
Ah.
Ta-da!
Ha det! Ha det!
Ha det!